It is wonderful to be home. University of Dayton is where I learned how to be a professional, where I learned how to be an educator, where I learned critical thinking, and where I learned about giving back to community. I also learned at the University of Dayton that this was a place where curiosity brought rewards and challenges, but was always addressed. And I hope that is your academic experience here. So tonight we'll talk about ethics. There will be no answers. We will just figure it out as we go. Culture is like the air around us. Each of us experience it differently. Ethics is conduct, how we conduct ourselves in the culture of which we live, how we conduct ourselves as students, how we conduct ourselves as administrators, religious, lay, faculty, community members, the ethics of business conduct. So I hope this presentation is going to bring questions. So please, we'll have an opportunity for Q&A, and I want you to push me, and I'm going to push back, because that's how we learn. So an incredible educational philosopher, John Dewey, talks about we only learn when there's dissonance, when there is discomfort. That is our best time to take in new knowledge. So when we talk about ethics, it's personal. We are in each other's experience, and we should always have questions. Fair? Fair? So we're going to talk a little bit about diversity tonight. How many of you can tell I'm an African-American woman? Raise your hand. Well done. You pass. In the African-American culture, we call it call and response. So I'm going to talk to you as we address ourselves tonight, and I'm going to call out to you, and I'll need you to respond. So the dean asked you when he first got to the microphone, he said, "How are you doing tonight?" And some of you went, "Rrr, rrr, rrr, rrr." Okay, so let's try that again. How are you doing? Great. Fabulous. So now you are a part of the call, and what did I call it? Call and pattern. Do you like it? Yeah, it's lovely. It gives you great affirmation. So I work at Atrium Health. We are a diverse healthcare organization. We have 13,975 virtual care visits. How many of you think that virtual care was an ethical issue? Yes, absolutely. Moving from one-on-one interaction in person, in an office, at a home, to let's Skype. So in the state of North Carolina, we could have virtual visits. It was part of our medical plan legislative act. And in South Carolina, it was not. So two different states side by side, different laws, and our job is to try to stay contemporary and relevant. So in North Carolina, virtual visits were no ethical or business concern. South Carolina, they were, state to state. Every day, $5 million goes into uncompensated care. $5 million every day, $1.7 billion a year. So when people say, I can't access health care, we're saying, please do come to us. We have clinics, we'll take care of you, because health and well-being is about ongoing care, not episodic care in an ED. So this is the biggest dilemma. I'm going to move this over so we can do both. So your first graph is the United States spending for health care as we compare ourselves to other civilized countries. What does the graph tell you? Who can read it? Who spends the most on health care? We do, we do. Okay, let's try it again. See the graph? spends the most? We do. United States spends the most. Do you think we get the best outcomes for our spend? No. We're at middle or bottom of the pack as we compare ourselves to other countries. So our gross domestic product is 17% for healthcare. In 2016, we spent $3.4 trillion in healthcare. In 2025, we're looking at $5.5 trillion. What's the ethical dilemma? We are spending more than any other country with less than satisfactory results. We can talk about how we can do better, right? So now I want to tell you a little bit about me. So of the 6 adults in that photo, do you see those lovely grandchildren? Those are the most loveliest grandchildren ever. But of the 6 adults in that photo, there are 9 credentials from higher ed. 3 of them come from the University of Dayton. So a third of our academic credentials come from UD. We are a UD family. We have long UD history. And the reason that I came here tonight is because Dick Glennon has been a part of our family relationships for as long as I have been married, 44 years. The most important part about UD is I can tell you all about Atrium Health, but I can also tell you that as a country, our spend is too much and our outcomes are not good enough. Because here we have critical thinking. And I'm looking at you going, and you will have the opportunity to find solutions and resolutions if you so choose to participate. Your education here is a gift and it is a blessing. Use it wisely. I am originally from San Francisco. So, as you start putting things together, as you observe, you create your own story, correct? African-American woman from San Francisco. Anybody want to yell out my political party? Just yell it out. Yeah, and you're right. You're right. Because sometimes those assumptions lead to correct answers. Sometimes they do not. And when they do not, we just have to apologize. Correct? But as a leader, will you have to assume? Can you stay safe? Can you? Can you have absolute perfection in your assumptions all of the time? No. It's about recovery. It's about taking a risk, understanding you have the ability to think critically, and giving it a try. So obviously the University of Dayton was very important to me, and Carolina's healthcare system, Atrium Health, will be where I will retire from in the next 60 days. I've had a remarkable, incredible career. None of it planned. None of it. But I do have a professional profile. How many of you can look at me and say, you know what, I think I'm going to tell her an off-color joke? Raise your hand if you think that would be a good idea. No? Yeah. How many of you think it would be a good idea to say, you know, I've got a little business plan. You know, it's a little shaky. We may start off, it may be illegal, but it could be legal over time. Am I the person you're going to talk to? Hello? No, I don't look like that person, do I? So as we talk about business ethics, from this day on, when you get pulled into the wrong conversation, you should ask yourself, what about me gave them the impression that I was an okay person to have this conversation with? Will you do that for me? What about me? What did I say? What did I do? How did I look? How did I get there? Right? So this is Chris Daniels. In 1996, he passed away. He was one of our basketball players. He was a UD Flyer. I carry him in my heart every single day because when I helped recruit him here, I promised his mother, I said, he will have 4 remarkable years here. And I promise you, he will come home. He will come home a better student. He was from the School of Education. He wanted to teach. He had 1 year where he was injured. He was red-shirted. So he had 1 more year to play while he was trying to earn a master's degree. And he passed away in the middle of the night. My ethical dilemma is, what did I say to his mother? I promise you, if you allow him to come here, we will treat him well. He will have a remarkable educational experience. He will get his credential, and he will have meaningful work. And I will send him back home to you. I will take care of him. He didn't make it. So this stays in my office because it was about a promise I made and I wasn't able to deliver. He stays with me everywhere. So my sources of truth for business ethics is, I'm not a disciplined academician on ethics. I'm not a writer. I am not a thought leader. But I'm a solid professional. And where it comes from me is from my mother. I call it Ethics 101. Her name was Evelyn Taylor Plousha. I lost her about 30 days ago. She will be in my heart forever, and I am the professional I am because she taught me, if you lie down with dogs, you get up with fleas. Hello? Be careful about who you associate with. How many of you, your parents, have said, I don't like that friend? Yeah. And you think, I'm bringing that friend home anyway, because you're not the boss of me. They really are the boss of you. Yeah. Right? And how many times have they ended up being right? About 100%? Yeah, about 100%. They're more experienced. They see things differently. They're giving you insight. But you have to learn on your own. Yeah. You'll recover. Access people around you. Who are they? Every friend doesn't have to be your best friend. Sometimes you feed people with a long-handled spoon because they shouldn't be in your circle. Their values may be different. Their ethical goals may not be the same. They may persuade you of something new, which could be good, it could be disruptive, but use good judgment all of the time. Just because everyone is doing it, should you? How many of you have heard that? So they're actually teaching you ethics through storylines. This was one of my mother's favorites. When the dust is flying, be patient and wait for the rain. You can't always find resolution immediately. This was my father's favorite. Nobody wants to see you looking ugly as a leader. So you get your little feelings hurt. You want your parents to know you're mad, or your boyfriend, or your girlfriend, or your instructor. You want them to say, how are you feeling? But you're also sending a message about who you are. Fair? All right. So my 2 role models for business ethics are my father-in-law, John E. Moore Sr., and he is a graduate from the University of Dayton in 1956. So if you're ever at Sinclair Community College, he has a business name, a building named after him, and Dick Glennon. So these 2 are actually partners. And what they partnered on was advancing Dayton, appreciating diversity, and finding ways that diverse students could work together to advance our community. So I want to talk a little bit about Dick Glennon. Dick Glennon partnered with Wilberforce University, with the University of Dayton, and sent students to Israel so we would have a better understanding of the Israeli and Jewish conflicts. Students lived on a kibbutz. They went to the University of Israel, and they put forth their time and their treasures to build community. So no one tells either one of these two off-color jokes. No one tells either one of these two no, especially when they're talking about advancing the community where you live. So one of the things I will share with you, you have become part of the population where you've learned how to be a critical thinker, where you have more information than many of your family members and many of your neighbors. And with that comes an incredible responsibility to lead. In the African American community, W.E. Du Bois called the educated African Americans the talented 10th. 1/10 of the population educated, degreed, and credentialed. Our primary responsibility was to go back and help the other 90%. The communities of where we live are important to us. How they think and how they talk. So it's not just about getting a degree and buying a big house and closing the door. Right? You have to make sure you have good schools, you have the arts. What is your ethical responsibility as a leader? So I will tell everybody, get a book. Get a book to learn how to lead. Get a book that you can say you model yourself after. And it can be 100 different books. For some of you, it will be the Bible. For some of you, it will be a business book. For some of you, it will be a philosophy book, but go deep and understand what the literature is telling us about leadership. My book is The Fifth Discipline. Peter Sinjay and Brother Raymond Fitz gave me this book when I was a young professional. Because I had read in the Chronicle of Education 25 years ago that higher education had the reputation of bringing young African American males into their sports programs, connecting the revenues, and no graduation. So I said, I will not be a part of that. Brother Ray should have fired me. He didn't, but he should have, correct? Hello? With me? Yeah. I will not be a part of that. He asked me, he said, Debra, do you know what the graduation rate of our athletes are? I was going, no, I do not. Do you know what their majors are? No, I don't. So ethically, should I have been out saying that I wouldn't support it? Why? Why? Take a guess. You're going to win. Why? Any one of you. Try it. Exactly. What about you? What were you going to say? Same thing? You too? Yeah. And I'm persuasive. Yeah, people were listening to me. Was I demonstrating good professionalism or ethics? No. So with this book, the depth of personal mastery is incredibly important. Know your business. Understand that people have different models when they hear you. Your job is to teach, persuade, motivate when you ethically believe, then build a shared vision, and then move to system thinking. My example here is I know when I am at my best. I have one thing I want to say. I was walking around saying, I don't know about higher education and athletes, and is it ethical? I looked like this because I didn't have the right information. I got better information, and I became a responsible administrator. Then when I decided to do something about it, I was fully extended. So I had a student at Davidson College when I did this exercise, and I said, what did you learn with this rubber band? And she told me, I learned I will not break. You will not break when you are stretched. And for some of us, we believe that there is a spiritual universe, a God of our universe, that holds us and keeps us strong when we stretch ourselves and have new learnings. You will not break. What will you deal with? The world's messy. We say we're not going to talk about religion, we're not going to talk about politics, and we talk about religion and politics all the time. The world's just messy. For those of you who like order as a leader, you will be disappointed, because every day you will go to work and there is going to be something that is out of your control. It is just messy. Now I'm going to ask you again, of the 65,000 teammates that are in North and South Carolina and Georgia right now, do you think one teammate is doing something against policy? Can I get an amen? Amen. Right? Yeah. And it happens. It happens. So as a leader, you deal with a messy place. And it can have disruption. Disruption can be challenging and rewarding. Innovation will bring us new thought. Innovation also brings us ethical questions. Part of your role as a leader is, can you predict and forecast? Can you look at the situation and say, this is going to be a problem, we will need to address it this way, right? So Friday night, University of Dayton has, well, it's changed that you're all here, yeah. So when I was associate dean, what would I think about Friday night at the University of Dayton? Anybody have a clue? What do you think about? I'm the dean, associate dean, Friday night, University of Dayton. Everyone studying, is that it? Yes. What would I think about? Somebody take a chance. Party. Brother Victor knows. What about one of you? I'm associate dean. I'm living 5 miles from here. Oh, I'm thinking everybody has their books and they're in bed and they turn their lights off by 9 o'clock and the world is perfect, right? There will be disruption. What I learned about while I was here is socially responsible investing. Because as students, you came to the university and said, are any of our pension funds, do they have investments in South Africa? And we were dealing with apartheid, a break of the races. And as an administration, we addressed the students, and at the time we were. But we decided that as a Catholic Maronist organization, we would be very thoughtful about socially responsible investing. The problem is gambling and alcohol, smoking and guns are always a good buy. We call them sin funds. And the question was, could we make as much money on funds that had nothing to do with sins? And for years as business leaders, we have worked on the investment of those funds. Ethical dilemma, Catholic, higher education, our mission, and where we put our money. Students led us through that change. Right now, another ethical question. Guns. So our gun makers, what's their core competency? I gave you the answer. Are gun makers, what's their core competency? What is it? Gun making. Excellent. You're awesome. Yeah. Core competency, right? They're either publicly or privately held. What are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to work for a loss? Not make money? How many of you think that the gun companies are not supposed to make money? Please raise your hand. How many of you think the gun companies are supposed to make money? Raise your hand. So it's how we buy guns. Again, students are leading us, saying keep us safe in our schools. One of the questions we have in front of us are, should educators be armed and trained? Ethical dilemma. I don't have the answers. Yeah, you're expecting the black woman from San Francisco to finish the sentence. I'm retiring in 60 days. Who's going to have to come up with the answers? That's right. I'm betting on you. Because you want your children to be safe in schools. We don't have the answer. But the ethical dilemma of their job is to make money. We have some people who are trained to keep us safe, and then we have people who do not fall from a civility perspective in the protocols of how to be a good citizen. Me too. This is what you live with. 50 years ago, women started entering the workplace with very aggressive models of being management and going to the top of the organization. Women have always worked, but we didn't have management roles. So we entered this world, military, non-military, for-profit, not-for-profit, and we have disruptions because we have disrespected women in the workplace. I don't care how you feel about Me Too, but you have to have an opinion if you want to lead. I don't care how you feel about it, but you do have to think about it because you want to lead. Correct? This is a very interesting story. How many of you are from the East Coast and you know about Wegmans? Good, good, good. Great store, right? Yeah, great store. The issue is they wanted to reduce their health care cost. I already showed you that we have a big spend. So to reduce health care costs, everyone said stop smoking. You will have better health outcomes if you stop smoking. Wegmans said, we're going to reduce costs. You have to, no smoking. You can't be a smoker and be an employee at Wegmans. And then they sold tobacco. And their employees came to them and said, how can you sell tobacco and then tell us we're tobacco free? Wegmans did a very courageous thing. They stopped selling tobacco. So from an ethical perspective, they lost the profits of selling tobacco to be in line with who they said they were based on their mission. Elizabeth Holmes. Do you know who she is? Anybody? Yes. That's what they said. She was going to be the next Steve Jobs. We were all excited because she developed a process where you could take just a prick on the finger, a drop of blood, and do all of the lab testing. She was making millions. She believed her own press. It was a fraud. Where's the ethics? Key point for you, never believe your own press. You could be on top on Monday morning at 10 o'clock and on the bottom Monday at 4. Stay true to your beliefs. It would have been much different if she had come out and said, I was wrong. She is being sued for millions of dollars. She is not the next Steve Jobs. She didn't control her narrative. She didn't keep her profile. And she may still recover. But on this issue, it was fraud. stories everywhere about her fraud. So we lifted her up on Fortune and Forbes, and here she is, breaking news, fraud. Do we know this one? My number's wrong. So when I did this presentation, I put 50 million. Does anybody know what the new number is? 80, good job. I know why you're dean. 87 million. Data breach. So let's talk about it a minute. Did Facebook start as a connector for politics? Anybody know? Do you think it started for politics? No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Did it start as a analytics model for prediction? No. Mm-mm. How did it start?
It started as a Harvard connection. Students were connected and it spread to schools eventually.
Interested students finding connections. It wasn't even a dating site, was it? Mm-mm. And it grew and grew and grew. So this is a disruption unplanned. So when you hit your fall as a business leader, the most important thing is to tell your own narrative and to say you're sorry. So the latest, he's posting in newspapers, which I think I shouldn't say posting. He is buying ads in newspapers and in print saying, if you can't trust us with your data, I apologize, and we shouldn't have it unless we know how to use it. So what did he do different from Elizabeth Holmes? Oh, do you think I'm the only person working tonight? I am not the only person. Can anybody answer that? What was the difference? I can't hear you. He apologized. He owned it. He got in front of the story. And some of us thought he waited too long. But he did it so skillfully, we're saying, we'll give you another shot. When you are leading, I would encourage you to teach beyond the job. As employers, as leaders, as managers, you will be working with people their best waking hours of the day. Teach civility. Teach diversity and inclusion. Teach spirituality if you are in a setting that can do that, such as the University of Dayton where I worked, or Catholic healthcare, or Methodist healthcare, or faith-based. When you have that setting, teach. Don't be afraid. And sometimes you'll be wrong, but I promise you, you will recover. I am the perfect example of recovery. I am an absolute outlier. But my career has been extremely rewarding. So every new teammate prepares a backpack that goes into a family that has low socioeconomic status, and they may not have food for the weekend. What am I telling that employee when they come to our health system on their first day when they're packing a backpack? What message am I sending? Think about it for a minute. I can pause. Anybody? Want to try? I can point. What message am I sending? Okay. So the first day new employees come to my organization, I have them pack a backpack of food to give to a family that may not have food on the weekend. What message am I sending? You're exactly right. The message is to play it forward. Well done. So, this is my job. This is where I work. In 2018, we did have teammates that earned $7.50 an hour. Because I was developed at the University of Dayton, and I knew I could speak critically, and we were talking about economic mobility and development, we said, you know, this is an ethical dilemma. My job is to manage the human capital spend, which is 50% of our revenue. That's my job. But we had teammates that couldn't survive on one job, had to work 2 jobs, and we were making reasonable revenues and income. Ethically, I was able to go to my employer and say, we need to move this up over time. Today, no one at Atrium Health earns less than $11.50 an hour. By 2020, I want to get to $15 an hour. The real number is $17.50. But let me kind of help you get a picture of this. $7.50 an hour, once you take out rent, clothing, and transportation, this is their hourly rate. $5. And some of you will say, well, too bad for them. But they're part of what? They're part of our organization, they're part of community. So I shared with you our community benefit is $1.7 billion a year. And you're saying, well, I work to go to college, and I should make a lot of money. But you should also care how others live and thrive. Right. I give this jar to every executive so they can figure out when we're talking about how do we get to $11.50, where we are, and how do we get to $15, and that we know to have a reasonable living wage at $17.50. How many of you see that as an ethical dilemma? Yeah. Is that all? Can you all see that as an ethical dilemma? How does it make you feel?
One of those things, you have one hand, you're spending more money, and the other hand, you're not giving your employee what he needs, so you're trying to hold it.
That's the disruption of leadership. So diversity and civility. Brother mentioned some of these things in his beautiful invocation and prayer. And Ty Howard is a football player. And he's just saying, show respect, politeness, manners. Use your etiquette, decorum, and kindness. So many times in our healthcare organization, have any of you been hospitalized? Broken something? Yeah. And sometimes your doctor spends maybe 15 minutes with you. But what about the housekeeper? They spend the time with you, they talk you through it. How many of you have had a housekeeper come and check on you? Are you okay, baby? Just checking on you. I see it all the time. So they bring value to the workplace. So what is your ethical profile? I'd like you to think about it. You don't have to answer me. But please know you are establishing that profile today. And with social media, your profile is being a piece of history as you move into the future. What is your ethical profile? So when you look at ethics, is it justice? Is it honor? It's how we behave. It's conscience. It's wrongdoing. And you will not be perfect. I have gone to sleep so many nights saying, I wish I had said, I wish I did. I didn't make it that time, but the next time I was prepared. It is a journey. And please know I still make mistakes. For some of you, I have offended you tonight. But please know I love you. And what I want you to be is uncomfortable enough to think about your ethical profile, how people view you, and how you want to lead. You will never do anything in this world without courage. It's courage to say, hey, peace out. I'm not a part of this. I'm out. It's the courage to say, that's interesting, not me. It's the courage to say, you just made me uncomfortable. I hear you. I like you. I'm uncomfortable. It's the courage to say, I hear you. I don't agree with you. It's the courage to say, can we look at it this way? So what would have happened if I had never said, let's change wages at Atrium Health? What would have happened? Nothing, right? What did it take when I said, let's change wages at Atrium Health? We're a good corporate citizen. We're ethical. Let's change wages. I had a great track record. What did they say? What did they say? Yes. They said yes. What happens if you don't ask the question? Nothing. Who said nothing? Thank you, brother. If you don't ask the question, nothing will happen. What if they had told me no? Do you think they were going to fire me that day? No, I've been okay. They just told me no. What happens when someone tells you no and you believe in it? So when you ask your parents for the car and they tell you no and you really believe you need to go out, do you just leave it at that time or do you come back again? What do you do? How many times? I'm a mother. How many times? And then we say, take it! Right? As many times as it takes. Maya Angelou would have turned 90 this week. She is a great woman, a national poet laureate. She was a translator. She helped us understand culture. She did it with words and she did it with beauty. I'm good with this. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. I end tonight with that quote. Thank you for listening. Please be thoughtful.